Food and Agriculture Organization is a UN agency, if we have the first slide, that was established in 1945 to eradicate hunger just right after the World War. And when we move on to the next slide, is that the Food and Agriculture Organization basically is guided by the strategic framework, which normally runs for 10 to 15 years. And current one, we have a 2022 one to a 2031 one. And it articulates FAO's role in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. So we're looking at better production in terms of our food and agriculture, better nutrition, the quality of the food that we eat, which then leads to, or is supported by the better environment and culminates to better life for everyone. Then when we go to the next slide, I think we'll just skip that and go to the Digital Land Governance Program. This is a 5-year program. I won't talk too much about it because our representative has talked about it, but it's a 5-year program funded by FAO and the European Union, and it aims to improve food and nutrition security and livelihoods and also sustainable development through increased and secure access to land, and all in line with Vision 2030. So I'll just skip to the areas of implementation. It's the biggest program we have, at least in terms of coverage. It covers all 47 counties, which are divided into 8 clusters. The LREB clusters are Cluster 3, Cluster 4, and Cluster 5. All the Cluster 5 counties are within the LREB region, and some of the Cluster 3 and Cluster 4 are also within the LREB region. So if we move to the next slide, the areas of support of the Digital Land Governance Program that are focused to LREB region is that if you look at most of the manifestos and the CIDPs of the LREB counties, revenue generation with ICT being the platform is a key priority area. So the program aims to support the revenue generation through digitalization of land records and processes. Then there's the issue of strategic areas of national importance. So the region is blessed with very many areas or very many resources that are of strategic importance. So you have the Lake Victoria Basin, you have the national trunk roads, you also have the forest reserves, the National Forest Reserves Kakamega and Elgon Reserve. So just how best can we plan this using the digital platforms and also secure, at least enhance the sustainable use. Then there's also the issue of conflict resolution when it comes to natural resources, and also especially at border towns or border areas. How do we best use either the formal judicial system and also enhance the alternative justice system? So that is another area of support that we are looking into. Then I'll skip on to the fragmentation of land. Most counties within the LREB region are facing an increased level of uneconomical fragmentation of land. This renders the land unproductive, and therefore how do we best mitigate this fragmentation and ensure that the use of this land is sustainable? Then if we move on to the next one, the next slide, most of the LREB counties actually have GIS labs, and they unfortunately are not being used to the best potential, and this is just because we're lucky to have the pioneer, or the pioneer of GIS within our region, that's Vihiga County. So through their support and the support of other partners, it's built the capacity of all the other LREB counties on the use of GIS, not only as a land use tool, but also as a general planning or economic planning tool. Then planning, when it comes to land use planning, that's considered very essential, also considered even as a constitutional obligation of states, both national and county government. But you find that there's a bit of limited understanding of exactly what planning entails and how this impacts on the development, both economic and socio-economic development of any county. So how do we best support our decision makers in understanding the role of planning when it comes to development? And lastly, is the mapping and protection of ecologically sensitive areas. We're going through a period, or just from a period, where we have had a long period of drought. And this is probably just, it's a contribution of this is the degradation of ecologically sensitive areas. So how do we map this and use the information to ensure that our ecologically sensitive areas, especially the shared ones, are protected for the benefit of all the counties in the region? So those are the areas of support. I'll hand over to my colleague to take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellencies, and all protocols observed. I know I'm standing between you and the change that took place at 1:30 when Professor invited us for lunch, because I can see many of us are already praying for us. So I'll be very brief so that you pay attention to what we're presenting here. So I'm talking about what our rep talked about, the KIAMIS platform and other FAO digital platforms. So KIAMIS simply stands for the Kenya Integrated Agriculture Management Information System. Why are we doing this? It's because, if you can go to the next slide, it's because that Kenya has a lot of potential, but climate has changed, so agriculture must also change, if you agree with me. And one of the changes we have to make is to digitize. If I look at the data that we have, Kenya has a lot of potential to export vegetables in tons, in fruits, and managing agricultural data in the sector. And we want the county to take advantage of this. Next slide. So there are two to our farmers so that we can know who needs credit, who needs advisory services, what are their pain points. The other model that's ready is the e-voucher system. We just from Zambia last week, where we had the CS and the PS, and we appreciated how Zambia has digitized their farmer input subsidy all to the farm level. So we are bringing that to Kenya, and we believe that you can now have a system or a platform that you can manage at national level, at county level, at sub-county level, and at ward level. So that at the ward level, you can have data for all the farmers, what they need, what have been given, what are their pain points, and you can target and address their pain points in a more effective and in a more evidence-based way. Next slide. So what's the promise? The promise is that we build open systems, or we're building an open system that has no licensing and that has impact and scale, and that anyone in the sector can use it. Next slide. So there are a lot of data that you can use, and I'll not take time about that, but you can look at your land registry, you can look at your market data, you can look at your pests and diseases, you can leverage on remote sensing data. Our friend here, the governor for Vihiga, can talk about this and can give us evidence. Next, because I really want not to take a lot of your time. Now, one other advantage we have with this platform, KIAMIS, which will be reaching out to governors in a short while, to start engaging with your counties. How do we move it forward to the next level? And I know you have a governors conference in April, and we may take advantage and discuss more in details in that. But we are able to integrate other services and other interventions that may be available within the sector and may be upcoming within the sector. We can have e-extension services, We can bring macroclimate weather advisory services, desert locusts or any other migratory pest, and also bringing in the public and private sector together to work as a team, and also the farm organization and the input of those who are dealing in inputs. So go to the next slides. I can't see, I don't know where you are, but can you go to the next one, where we are showing how best the perfect farmer register and the farmer register. So we are showing, I hope that's what's showing there. So we are showing here that with this system, you'll have a perfect farmer and farm register. Underline farmer and farm. If you only know the farmer and you don't know the farm, you're missing something. We need to know both. So we take the biodata of the farmer up to the farm level, including farm size and the GPS content of the farm. Now with that single point of the GPS content of the farm, you can tell what has been happening to that farm the last 100 years. And therefore, using what we call models, for those who professors said went to school, we can be able to predict what can happen to that land in the next couple of years. So this is some of the things we're bringing in. We profile the farmer, profile the farms, so that you can give targeted advisories, targeted support, and hyper-local support, which is based on the farm. Next slide. The e-voucher system will bring oversight on what you do at national and county level, transparency and accountability, understanding better input consumption, targeting the right beneficiaries, and there's no licensing. So the platform we're talking about has no licensing cost. Currently, the government is paying a lot of money for licensing cost, and it's hosted in a government institution which can be trusted. Yes, so as we said earlier, next slide, we can link it to many of these platforms. I'll skip that, and I'll also skip the next slide. And therefore, I just want to briefly go to the next, which is about the fish story in Lake Victoria. I hope that's what you're seeing. So this is another project that started last year from December 2020 up to May 2025. And this project basically aimed to help us improve access to commercial network in aquaculture, increase the regional and national availability of skills and workers in the aquaculture. Our reps say we lost fish because of lack of skills. How do we mitigate risks associated with this? And how do we develop sustainable cage culture and related management systems so that we don't lose our fish and we don't have to get some from China, somebody said earlier? And how do we protect and preserve the lake natural biodiversity? So this is one of the projects doing that. Next slide. So that's just an example. Where are we now? We already have a draft strategy which is involved the East Africa community. We've been training on different tools. We have been provide technical and financial assistance to RIAT. Our rep talked about it. We've been establishing most of the, aquatic organizational health working groups. We've been conducting inventory on the cages in the Lake Victoria and creating and maintaining a database platform for spatial data. With spatial data, we're able to say, where are these cages? What are the capacity? What can be done to improve them? Next slide. So the idea here is that the other project is to transform climate resilience. I'll put this in a minute. And basically within the economic region. So, do I talk about it? Okay, let's go.
Sir, good afternoon. So my name is Tian. I'm a program officer in FL Kenya. This is actually a project we are bringing to the Lake region. And many of you actually, I think, is very familiar with this project because we are co-creating with your CEC, also with many of the technical officers in the county. And then this is a $50 million investment we are bringing to the region to address climate change impact in the agriculture sector. Just a brief overview. I think you all know that the climate change challenges in the region, although it doesn't consider as one of the most vulnerable region in Kenya, but because of the population density, it is very key for us to address the climate change impact early and to prevent a larger impact to the 14 million people in the region. Just maybe a brief principle that we believe is that when we are addressing climate change, we want our solutions to be financial viable. So farmers, they build climate change They build their resilience to climate change, but also their livelihoods will not be impacted, or their income can be increased through these climate change solutions. We are going to provide a lot of climate technology transfer to the cooperatives in the value chain that has comparative advantage in the counties. And also we want to do value chain integration, because we believe it's not only the smallholder but also the value chain actors who are negatively impacted by climate change. The impact we are expecting is going to reach around 500,000 farmers in cooperatives and in farmers groups in the region. We have a target carbon offset through the project, and we want to create around 2,000 jobs among youth. Just give you a quick overview. We are making progress. It has been a slow process due to different reasons, but we're hoping to bring this investment to the county in 2024, and then we hope to implement together with all of you until 2030. Thank you.
This concludes our presentations, and thank you very much for the opportunity. We are doing it together, and we really look forward to continue providing that support that will really take this region to the next level. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, the FAO team. I was whispering to my friend Uchila Yako there that we really need this team to come and talk with our ministers. And then I discovered when they were talking that they have been meeting. And I think we need to meet them again, we as governors and the ministers, because this is a gold mine. And I think I personally would like to see what progress we have made on the ground since you have started discussing these very important issues in agriculture with us. I think here lies the secret to transforming knowledge into actual development output. So thank you very, very much, Ms. Kala Mukabi. We'll definitely arrange so that we have yet another extensive meeting with our ministers, the chief officers, and ourselves, so that we go step by step counties in terms of agricultural development and climate change and blue economy from your input, so that we can see the input and the outcome. Now, I'd like to mention that we have met John Okulo on SBA Group, Director, is here with us. I think there's a big group from NCBA Bank who are here with us. Please, yes, there is. They have a lot of interest in our counties, and quite a number of us are account with the NCBA. Please feel free to meet him and to exchange views with him. Did you want to say something?
Yes, just a few words.
Just a few words, please, because we have short of time, and I would like to invite Raju Ganavarapu. Raju, can you come over? Because I'd like to introduce you very extensively before you address the audience. You mentioned in the documentary what it is that you're doing. John, come please. Very briefly, please. A minute.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency and Chair of LREB. I thought that I just spent literally one minute to thank all the governors who are here, the deputy governors, the principal secretary for devolution, and to just restate that the reason why NCBA decided to sponsor a part of this event is because we recognize the importance of this region. Since 2021, we've opened Kakamega branch, Bungoma branch, Shwele, Busia, and Kericho. And from all these presentations, we clearly could see the future potential. This year, we're opening Migori branch, Governor, by the end of this month or early April. We hope to open our first branch in Migori. We'll be opening a branch in Bomet, Bondo, Kapsabet in Nandi County will be there, and in Homa Bay. So from our perspective as NCBA, we truly believe in the future of this region. We thank you for allowing us to sponsor this event, and we hope that you'll invite us for future events. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. As chairman of the Lake Region Economic Bloc, I come from a village called Rata. Until you open a branch in Rata, and that should be soon, there's business in Rata. Thank you very much, John. I would like to introduce my friend Dr. Raju Ganavarapu to make a presentation as CEO of Procop N-Tech Private Limited, India. This is part one of the presentation. I think Raju will be speaking again tomorrow. But also important about this cooperation in India is that Governor Oparanya and I don't know whether we went with the governor of Nyamira to India. Yes, Nyaribo was there, and Rasanga was there. So Jim, your predecessor, was with us in India. We visited the solar power plant in that state, Andhra Pradesh, a solar power plant which is in the lake and produces power which is then transported over 1,000 kilometers away from the source. And we realized that we have our own lake, Lake Kanyaboli, that Jim was talking about. So we said, why can't we also produce power on Lake Kanyaboli and other places in the lake region? Because when each county of lake region is not 1,000 kilometers away from, we are all better integrated. So why are we suffering the high cost of power, Kenya Power and Lighting Company, when we can have our own power source in terms of solar power? So we said we are going to invite Raju to come and talk to us about that. But another thing that accompanied that was also, they build railways and run railways in India too, their company. Maybe there are two companies. Yeah, two partner companies doing complementary things. And we thought that if something can happen in Andhra Pradesh in India, why it cannot happen at the Lake Region Economic Bloc? All things considered, we are peasant societies, we are not very highly developed industrially, although India is ahead of us. So this is another practical thing that can happen here and change the economy of our country. This is the last thing I'm saying today, and I sit down. After that, I hand over this job of introducing people to somebody else. But I really wanted to introduce Raju before he speaks to you. Raju.
Namaste. Can I repeat it? Namaste. Do you know what is Namaste? Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, and best wishes to all of you. Thank you very much. It's been quite a journey. We have passed through. I think this is the third summit since we began our journey with Lake Region Economic Bloc. It's been some time ago, a group of governors together with a jumbo delegation of senior officials from various counties have visited India. Not once, probably twice, thrice. And they have all experienced various infrastructure facilities we have created and amazed with it, and requested us to facilitate those kind of infrastructure here for their in turn. Together with my colleagues, our partners, and particularly, when Professor said we built big energy plants, Professor said we also run railways. No, we never built power plants. We never built railway networks. But we partnered, we could make it happen. We could make it happen. Because all the technologies my company might not have, all the expertise my company might not have, all the investment my company might not have. But with the little investment, we partner with the robust ecosystem that is Government of India. Certainly, when I compare my company or my group of companies with the size of government of India, I'm a tiny dot among them. Now, as we have committed to the Honorable Chair and the great people of this country, particularly golden people of this lake region, we thought we should bring in entire government of India ecosystem who can make this great infrastructure projects possible for us. Then now after 2 summits we have attended, we have requested our senior officials to delegate few competent corporations from the government of India. Now, finally, after so many deliberations, we are here. Probably you must be seeing. Is it the slide number 1? Yeah. So you must be seeing this is a Indo-Kenya Partnership for Sustainable Development, which has been created between Lake Region Economic Bloc and our company Procorp Energetic PLC through duly structuring APP arrangement. Now you see bottom of this slide, you are seeing a dedicated freight corridor, and the other side there's something called NTPC. These are the 2 stalwarts in India who partnered with us, making the energy sector as well as the railway sector realize and offer best services across. So now, together with it, as I said, our journey started in rather during 9th summit of the LRAP in Kakamega, while His Excellency Oparanya was the chair, and it took so many shapes, and with a slow speed we could turn out to the 10th summit, and finally during the 10th summit, during His Excellency Professor's leadership, we have resolved, rather summit has resolved and approved LREB and our partnership to have a joint venture company, which you would be seeing it now. This is the joint venture company which has been incorporated in India, which is going to take care of these 2 major projects, flagship projects of the Lake Region Economic Bloc, which I am going to present you. This is called Green Grids Development Corporation. Probably if everything goes well and our prayers, God listens to our prayers, this Green Grids is going to provide you the best of the best services which you are going to see now. So through this collaboration, we have selected these 4 sectors. Slide number 3. Yeah. Sector number 1 is energy. Sector number 2 is climate and environment. 3 is education. 4 is infrastructure. But as of now, we have prioritized energy and infrastructure. Now I am going to present you, projects within these 2. Now you see this. Yeah. The Green Grids Development Corporation, we have proposed with the LRAP that we would develop solar green grids across the lake region. Right? The scope of this Green Grid Corporation, is to establish about 280 megawatt of ground-mounted solar power plants spanning all 14 counties, probably around 20 megawatt to each county, which can be dedicated for their captive consumption. Apart from that, as Professor said, they have experienced the largest floating solar plant in India, what we have built through our partner NTPC, which is 100 megawatt. Similar 100 megawatt solar power plant we want to establish on the waters of Lake Kenyaboli. I request His Excellency Governor Orengo to take lead on this and make the framework to facilitate this for the people of our great region. and what we expect with the investment size. Preliminary estimates suggesting us that the total investment for this energy sector for this project in the first phase itself would make up to USD 500 million. 500 million. Now, what this project is going to give the lake region. This is the proposed scope. First of all, we generate green energy within the region. We transmit or refurbish the transmission systems what we have, and we build our own distribution systems within the region, and it has to reach our end consumer, reducing the price. You know, you can see the objectives down there. The project would secure energy independence to the lake region. I'm around Kenya last 4-5 days. During my journey or my stay in Nairobi, very capital of this country, I have experienced a blackout full one night. I spent one black night at my hotel room locked. So we consider if the so-called inefficiencies, if we can reduce and give energy independence to this lake region, our lives are, fulfilled. To provide green power at affordable price. Affordable price means what? Any one of you can tell me what is the cost of power per unit today in your region, in your country? Is it 10 shillings? 5 shillings? How much is it? 5 shillings, 10 shillings, 20 shillings? Any responses? No, I tell you. I was talking to a friend of mine here who bought about 1,000 shilling tokens, electricity tokens, and I tried reading those tokens. Finally, he got only 320 shilling worth of power. That means what? If you buy 1,000 rupees, 1,000 shilling worth of power, you are getting 320, 350, 340 shillings worth of energy. And that means each unit per you is costing between 24 shillings to 30 shillings sometimes, depending on the category, which is very, very expensive. Then we went browsing through the web and identified power prices across the various African countries. And unfortunately, in Kenya, the price is very, very expensive. If you compare with your neighbor, Ethiopia, it is just 6 shillings. Wow, such a great. So now, with this project, what we are proposing, probably if we can reduce our power cost by 50%, and that is a great change we could contribute. All the leaders on the dais and off the dais, if we come together, support with the government of India and with our companies, we are all here, we make this possible, and let us see light at our faces of our golden people, because unless you have a light, gold cannot. Can you play the small video?
Energy consumption being a key parameter in a country's development makes the role of energy establishments quite crucial. NTPC Limited,
This is the company which is our partner.
founded in 1975, has been a pioneer in serving the nation with its contribution towards generation of electricity and allied activities. Present installed capacity of NTPC Group is 66,900 megawatt, comprising of 47 NTPC stations, 23 coal-based stations, 7 gas-based stations, 1 hydro station, 1 small hydro, 14 solar PV, and 1 wind-based station, and 27 joint venture stations.
So this is a small brief about the company to take care of the responsibility. And now, next video. Now you are seeing a floating solar plant which is intended to be replaced in Lake Kenya, Boli. Professor and his group of governors, his colleagues, have personally visited this plant. Professor, I hope you remember this. You have visited this in the mid-summer, during the 50-degree summer. You have visited this on the boat. and yeah, it is going to be realized very soon. And we have also had preliminary designs. Probably if you can see, once the project is realized here in Lake Kinyaboli, it is going to be jewel for the country, and we are designing a topo map for this, as if you see it from the bird's eye view while you are traveling on or flying, it looks like a Kenya. So that is how we are designing it. So this is the solar power plant on waters, which yeah, we heard Governor Aringo's concern on the climate change. Governor, let me give you a clear understanding what we have on the floating solars. It has been proved across the globe that floating solar is much better than the ground mounted solar, because it is keeping well-being of the livestock within the water. It has been researched and established facts. Probably those reports you can also view those reports. And we have also requested the Director General of NEMA to look into these factors, and probably we are expecting proper response for this very soon, so that all the parameters are met and we take care of our environment properly. The next slide. So this is the leadership of our partner company NTPC, which is the largest power sector company in India, and second largest power sector company across the globe, which produces about 100,000 megawatt of power every day, whereas our captive generation in Kenya is 2,300 or so. So such a big company, big corporate from a government of India side, with funding, they are coming here to operate this plant. So now, next one, the railway. Now I jump on to the second major flagship project, which is expected to change the entire socio-economic scenario of this region particularly, and probably it might change the face of entire Kenya. So before last month we have come with a senior delegation of the railway officials and engineers, and we have had a very preliminary understanding and topography of the regions, heights, downs, and these things, hilly areas. So probably if everything goes well, and you could see the map, we are proposing about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 6 or 7 clusters or cluster of railway lines. It can pass through the entire lake region and duly connected with the main line what we have. And if you can refurbish the existing line, railway line network from Kisumu to Naivasha, where Naivasha is the endpoint for SGR. Now we have a meter gauge here. If that can be refurbished, and this inter-county railway network, what we are proposing, if it is can be realized, and in a span of in a length of approximately 695 kilometers, that is about 700 kilometers of inter-county railway network. If it is realized, then the development in these counties, in this lake region, even God cannot even stop. So this even God cannot stop. Do you agree with me? Yeah. So the preliminary estimation for this railway project may go up to 4.5 billion USD, and we are in discussion with multiple financing agencies apart from our own investments, Government of India's investments, and we are also seeking third-party investment on it, so that the project will never have any hindrance for the way forward. As we know, Kenya has everything, and people believe Kenya is poor. No, Kenya is never been poor. Kenya is very rich. Only thing is we have a disparity. But if we can bring in finances, if we can bring in technologies, if we can building robust infrastructure, the so-called poverty, whatever is in the perseverance, can turn, and Africa through Kenya can become big competitor for the top 1, 2, 3 countries. Today we are talking about US, today we are talking about G7 and all that. Tomorrow, Tomorrow my country is heading for the top 1, 2, 3, 5. Kenya can compete very soon with these kind of infrastructures. We wish to do that very soon. Now, you can see this is one of the delegation through His Excellency Governor Rasanga and His Excellency Governor Nyaribo and his team together with the elder. They have come here. You can play the video. Oh, power is there? Video is not there. That was again on our dedicated freight corridor railway lines, what we built through the dedicated freight corridor corporation. Yeah. So, and finally, for these two projects, one for the solar energy, the other for the railway network. For the railway network, we have formally signed a memorandum of engagement. We, in the sense, our company, together with the Government of India's dedicated freight corridor, we have already executed a memorandum of engagement as a preliminary formalization of our relationship. And for the NTPC, for the power, same arrangement, we have already signed a MOU. Now, we are entering to a next stage where, next. What is that? So, we are entering to a stage where what we seek from you, from the extraordinary people of this region, we need blessings and best wishes. That's all, nothing else. Nothing else. From His Excellency's governors and leadership of these countries, we want your serious involvement and leadership, and just understand the legal framework within your devolution system and kindly make as a team, together with the Government of India, together with representatives of the Lake Region Economic Bloc, together with the representatives of our company, and let us lead our delegation to the national government, coordinate and make the policy framework ready. We doesn't want any kind of financial involvement from you. No finances required from county governments. No finances required from the national government. Policy framework, if it is ready, Government of India is ready to invest on it. Government of India together with our company is ready in negotiation to bring in the investments. We build, operate, generate money, we collect our money back, give you the facility, we thank God and leave it. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Prof.
I came to do this so that you can understand why the other hand could not be identified. All of us feared, Governor Asanga, Governor Ribo, myself, that if they identify that hand, and with what Raju has said, somebody would think that these hands are magic and cut our hands off. But thank God the hand is camouflaged. But today you can see it. Thank you very much, Raju. Clap, get your hand. Aren't you happy? How many are happy? Thank you very much. It is real. You can ask yourself, when the Wazungus first came to Kenya to build the lunatic line, the railway line, they didn't ask any Kenyan for any money. They abstracted some Indians from India, brought them up here, they built the railway, started using it for years and years. When they had collected enough of their money, they left the railway to Kenya. Now, the Indian corporations are having a much better deal in that they have at least discussed with us and we have shaken hands. No Kenyan shook hands with the British. Did your grandfather shake hands with the British at Simbarati? They didn't. But they built the railway, extracted the resources, got everything they want and more, And then they say they granted you independence, but only after you killed a few during the Mau Mau. They didn't grant, they ran away because they said the savages can kill us too long. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. So I really want to thank Raju. I'm sure some people may want to ask questions about this, but I think since we have other sessions to have, I think Raju will be around tomorrow and today, so that we can have discussions with him during tea and other things. But I think it was important so that we have the same level of information, and you give us the mandate as your governors to continue with negotiations, cooperation. I think I will hand over now to the rest of the team to conduct the remaining sessions. I have done my best. God bless me.
So I think we need to give Prof a better round of applause. So can we clap for him? Thank you so much, Your Excellency. And we also want to say thank you so much to our keynote speaker, even as she prepares to leave. And to Your Excellencies, I think we've sat for quite long. I want people to rise on their feet and do some small exercise so that we can come back to our normal senses. So Your Excellencies, I ask you to lead people in being on their feet for just a second. And because you are told that Migori has some music, I know people want to have a taste of what it will be like in the evening. But Your Excellency, James Orengo, I would want you to listen to this and give me an answer to what I will read. So we are told here that in 2004, President Kibaki, Prime Minister Raila, Ngilu and Martha Karua were traveling in a train. So we are told the train suddenly goes through a tunnel and it gets completely dark. Suddenly there is a kissing sound and then a slap. The train comes out of the tunnel. Ngilu and Raila are sitting there looking perplexed. Kibaki is bent over holding his face, which is red from an apparent slap. All of them remain diplomatic and nobody says anything. So Ngilu is thinking, these men are all crazy after Martha Karua. Kibaki must have tried to kiss her in the tunnel, very proper that she slapped him. Martha Karua is thinking, Kibaki must have moved to kiss me and kiss Ngilu instead and got slapped. Kibaki is thinking, damn it, Raila must have tried to kiss Martha Karua, she thought it was me and slapped me. And now here where the genius lies. Raila is thinking, if this train goes through another tunnel, I could make another kissing sound and slap Kibaki again. So, Senior Counsel, we are told that occurred some times ago when he was still very young. I don't know if it was true.
There was another man in the train.
So, while we are on our feet, we have here our artist, Owori Jamopera. He wants to give just one line to jog our thinking and memory, then we'll sit down for another session. So, the music is just an interlude for 2 minutes only. Also, okay, while the music is being prepared, we can resume our seats. Okay. So the music is there. Yeah, Senior Counsel, His Excellency James Orengo is telling me that Princess Julie, the one famous for Dunia Mbaya, is here in the house. Thank you so much, Princess Julie. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Obra
Hapo vipi? Now, without wasting much time, I want to introduce Dr. Ogumbo here, who is going to take us to the details of the theme for this summit, which is sustainable partnerships and on issues of using blue economy opportunities and climate change adaptation to address issues of food insecurity in this region and in the country. Welcome.
Your Excellencies, the governors, ladies and gentlemen, we realize that time is spent, and therefore we want to go straight into the mind-boggling topics of the today's panels. Our second panel is going to address challenges to blue economy investment opportunities in inland waters, experiences from Lake Victoria Basin. Ladies and gentlemen, you realize that we have a Blue Economy Authority from the region, and this is none other than His Excellency Dr. Paul Otuoma, who is the Vice Chair of Blue Economy at the Council of Governors. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency Dr. Paul Otuoma is going to chair this panel, and together with him, just come up, Your Excellency. Together with him, we are going to have His Excellency Honorable Amos Nyaribo. I know he'll come. We have a user, blue economy user, private sector, Mr. Joe Rehman from Victory Farms. He is representative from Victory Farms. Karibu sana. Then we have Mr. John Omingo, Director General, Kenya Maritime Authority, who is also representative from KMA. Karibu sana. Then we have our guest from across the border in another devolved unit, Honorable John Mashora, Minister for Foreign Affairs in Busoga Kingdom, Uganda. Is Madam here? With this, I want to give the following direction, that as the chairman of this panel comes to give an overview of blue economy, he will give time to each of the available panelists, time to talk about blue economy, and then invite other governors who have sentiments about blue economy to raise comments so that we can see how far we can go with this discussion on challenges to blue economy, investment opportunities in inland waters, experiences from Lake Victoria Basin. Remember, the entire region is blue, from the water towers to Kanyaboli and Lake Victoria. Your Excellency.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. I think you have heard my names. I'm Dr. Paul Otuoma, the Governor of Busia, and the Vice Chair of the Blue Economy in the Council of Governors. But other than that, this is an area I believe has a lot of potential for us here in the Lake Basin region, and so the Lake Basin Economic Bloc. When we started the issue of aquaculture in Kenya, I think it was some 15 years ago, when we did the aquaculture strategic paper for the country, and at that time I had the honor of being the Minister for Fisheries. We realized that we were sitting on a gold mine, and we tried to benchmark with so many other countries that we visited. That was basically Indonesia, Vietnam, Israel, even China. But all those places that we went, everybody was telling us that Lake Victoria, especially in terms of tilapia, which is one of the most popular fish that is rare other than the catfish, has got the biggest biodiversity in terms of genetic material. Yet we were doing nothing. For those who care, I have repeat it again. One of the experiences I had when we visited Israel, and it was also my first time there, and I went to see this place they call the Sea of Galilee, which I had only read about in the Bible. But when I reached there and I stood on this shore, I could see the other end. And I said, is this the sea? Because I think in our school days, those days, they used to tell us you come from a lake, then you go to the sea, then you go to the ocean. I think that was the order of how big things are. Lakini nilikuwa nasoma the Sea of Galilee. To me, in terms of classification here, did not qualify to be a sea. But the interesting thing, the professor we went to meet on aquaculture, when we, after explaining to us and taking us around, he fished out a document on those aquaculture studies and genetic material, and the thing was written that this work was done here in Kenya. And he wondered what we had gone there to learn. Because then they had learned these things here in Kenya. When they want to open up their genetic diversity, they normally come and fish here in Lake Victoria, so that they can improve on their genetic material after some time. And the big difference that we found there, he told us that, you know, we have implemented what we were doing in Kenya and what we learned in Kenya and what we researched in Kenya. But unfortunately, I think I was among the third or fourth delegation that had gone to see the same document that was written and researched here in Kenya. And most of you are aware that that country, despite the challenges of water, they are doing very well, not just in aquaculture, but also in other sectors of agriculture. Today, when I was looking at the theme about digitalization of agriculture, last night I was watching something again on farming there in Israel, and I was seeing people have got these things at home. You can test your soil, you can do it with a satellite. You don't need to go any further. Once you have just your laptop or your phone and those gadgets, you can test the water salinity, the water temperatures, and what needs to be done, and even the soils. So it's a correct theme, but it's a theme that the rest of the world has moved. But if you look at it in terms of water bodies, blue economy just means every water body that you can get, whether it is underground, whether it is the ocean, whether it's a moving river, whether it's a lake, whether it's a dam. We always used to say that fish does not utilize water. Fish just lives in water. It just lives inside there. And it doesn't need a lot of water to survive. And that's why these things, you can do them even in the backyard. You can rear fish in the backyard. The biggest challenge that I can say, and maybe the experts here, they'll correct me if I'm wrong, is that we need to structure, especially our aquaculture programs. Because the biggest challenge is seed, quality seed, and then feed, and then extension services. In those other countries, what I saw, and I was happy when I heard that now Kabonyo fish farm is being funded nationally to become a proper research station. My thinking was that it should be used to research on quality seeds and quality feeds. And then it can feed in the counties. We counties can be now centers of multiplication. But we are getting quality seed and quality feed. And in the counties, our job will be just to have multiplication centers and distribution to the farmers and do extension services. And in my view, Kenya can become a powerhouse in terms of fish production. In the other areas of the country, like we have said, Turkana, the lake areas where there are dams, once we have got quality seeds, our issue, it is just to populate those water bodies. And if you have got extension people, those will be able to be fed and they just grow. Fish does not need a lot of things if you are doing it scientifically and properly. So this is my view about this thing. If we can do it, we can be able to produce food. It's unfortunate for those of us who come from the lake here, that even our own fishermen cannot afford fish. If you take ngege, if it is an average ngege, is around 400 to 500 shillings. If you look at the average income of a citizen here, most of them would rather sell that and buy something else and maybe remain with some balance to do other things. So you can find you are a fisherman, but you cannot afford to eat that fish yourself. And it's a challenge to us. What is coming from China, to me, I say as a country, we also need clear policies. Because we would be saying that we are developing our blue economy. But if we are not in a position whereby the rules of engagement are known, then it is also very easy to find that those who will be investing in this sector, their investments may not be secure to some extent. Because if there are shortcuts, and there are normally sometimes shortcuts in anything that comes new and people are still not that sophisticated. And I know that in the aquaculture sector, one of the biggest shortcuts is to use hormones. And those will need regulations. That's why I was saying that we need a proper research, scientific station that gives us standards. If we don't do that, it is very easy to again also lose it very easily, like we lost it when we tried to do this under the economic stimulus and we put in a lot of money, but there was no seed, there was no quality feed. Once the stimulus ended, the whole program stopped. So I want to urge the key players and even us as policy makers, but the best thing would be to integrate between ourselves as counties and national government and research institutions, so that our roles are clearly known, who is doing what and who is taking that product now to the end user. And then the marketing chain, the whole value chain that needs to be looked into. Otherwise, I believe this is an area that has a lot of potential for growth, both economically and in terms of our own food security. Because we are in a protein deficit area in this country and even in this region where we are today. And this is one area that can give us that food security if we do it right. That is my understanding of aquaculture. And that's what I believe, that if we do it right, it has one of the biggest potential, other than what I saw mining that my brother was presenting here. And I was lifting my hand up because I was saying, I just wanted to know, we were saying inter-county, but what about if this is a transboundary resource, like Lake Victoria has been a transboundary resource for us. And you find because of deficit, there's a lot of conflicts on those transboundary resources. And if you look at it and analyze it carefully, you will find that our people are still doing fishing according to biblical times, where you just cast your net and hope something will come up. We were sharing something with our host governor today, and you are saying fish has learned some new tricks to evade. But I think it's just the environment that has been polluted. The environment has been disturbed. So you'll find that fishes are moving maybe in deeper waters, and that's why our catches are a bit lower. So we just need a proper approach, because in this era we cannot afford a hunter-gatherer economy, especially in our natural water areas. And that's why aquaculture and blue economy becomes very vital for us. With those very many remarks, I think I can now invite, you gave me 10 minutes, are they over? Okay. With those very many remarks, I think now I can sit and we invite the next discussants. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Your Excellency. In that particular panel discussion, the second discussant this afternoon is Mr. Representative to Mr. Joe Redman, CEO and founder of Victory Farms. You realize that Victory Farms is one of the single-handedly established farm in this region, and they're doing a lot for us when it comes to aquaculture and fisheries. So I want to invite
Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Caesar Asio. I am a proud resident and investor in Homa Bay County. It is my honor to be standing before you today. It is also an honor to be standing before my Deputy Governor, who is here, and other senior officials from Homa Bay County. A little bit about Victory Farms. First, we are a fully integrated fish farm, which means from cultivation of eggs through hatchery to nursery, and then production, harvest, processing, distribution, and sales. That is what full integration means. I believe we are the only fully integrated fish farm in Kenya, but we are also the fastest growing and largest